Seeing that the hour is now 8:32, we'll call the Law and Government Committee meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Van Hoff.
Present.
Sullivan. Kunkel.
Here.
Sauger.
Here.
Campbell. Shorten.
Here.
Althoff.
Here. May I have a motion to allow Mr. Sauger to attend electronically? Mr. Kunkel, seconded by Mr. Shorten. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You're official, Bri. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still dealing with the state fair, I see.
Yes, ma'am.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Mr. Shorten, seconded by Mr. Kunkel. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Public comment? I don't believe that there is any public comment when I walked in about 3 minutes ago. Any member comments this morning? I note that Ms. Campbell is on vacay and Mr. Sullivan is not well. So they could not be here today for those reasons. New business, we have no new business. Legislative update. Alicia, do you want, we did get it, thank you very much. Is there anything you want to add to it?
No, ma'am, unless anyone wants to hear any further details.
I'll just note that I had a conversation yesterday with administration with regard to President Trump's executive order with regard to the Safety Act. We are on top of that. We're following it through. Do you want to say something, Peter, please?
Cash bail.
Cash and bail, sorry.
Component of the Safety Act. The President did note in his executive order that they would be looking at withholding federal dollars from states that were using cashless bail. Real vague kind of statement. We have had some of these sorts of statements in the past relative to DEI and states that use DEI, that there will be some clawback, holdback of federal dollars. Haven't really realized any significant changes therein, but we are watching this and gotta keep our eyes open. I think ISACO did a good job and Joe McCoy is jumping right on it, so we're alerting all Illinois counties to this. So we got a lot of people with their eyes and ears watching what's going on. We'll stay in touch with everybody on that. As Alicia noted in, I think in her legislative report, Alicia and Shaylin and I are going to be meeting with Congressman Foster today at 1:45, and certainly we'll put this on, and Pam.
Me too.
And we'll see if he knows anything else, and his staff will be helping all of his constituents watch for any changes there in the federal flow of dollars. So that's it.
Any questions? Okay, moving right along. Routine consent agenda, we have none this morning. We have no presentations. Old business. If the committee will recall, last month our coroner had some salary reclassifications and we needed more information and felt uncomfortable about sending that forward to the full board without further information. I do believe that is Ms. Eppert here. Yes. Suzanne is here this morning, and
Not the coroner, but
Suzanne, who basically we were asking, can I ask you to come up in the event that there's any questions, and can you kind of give us a better summary of exactly why this is necessary?
Sure.
Thanks.
Does anyone have a magnifying glass?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it is kind of tiny.
It is tiny.
Particularly for all of us old people here. Yeah. There were four reclassifications?
There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4.
6.
6.
Okay. So can you explain to us exactly how you reviewed it and why this is necessary? Appreciate that.
Certainly, of course. So, department head would reach out to me in this situation in regards to a restructure during the budget process, which is the correct process to go into. I met with Doc Rain and we went over his positions. We talked about his structure. The deputy coroners, I think the biggest thing is these were union employees. And when they came out of the union, they just took the salaries and kind of plugged them into a grade. So that's kind of a backwards way of doing it versus actually coming back and reviewing the position outside of union structure.
And when was that time frame?
when the union dissolved, it was about 3 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 6 ends to 9 ends were very straightforward. We looked at the responsibilities. There's a lot that goes into reviewing a position in the Archer system. The biggest things are the control, which identifies what kind of an employee this is. Is it an employee? Is it a lead? Is it a team lead? Is it a supervisor? Is it a director? Then it goes to discretion, which means how far out are they planning? Are they working a day-to-day job, a week job? Are they out 6 months? Are they a year? Are they forecasting even further? And then accountability is basically the fiscal responsibility, and which these positions really have none. So when we started to review them, we quickly could see that within the grading system, they were definitely below grade. So we reviewed them together. We talked about the data that they're working with, the experience, the education, the human interaction. These all go together to build up a score. So I felt comfortable with what we discussed and where the positions were going. So I did recommend that the grade changes were appropriate. Okay, and then we reviewed Olivia's position. Again, her position had not been graded for a period of time. Good practice is a position should never go more than 4 years without a regrading, because things change and things happen. So we did review Olivia's and agreed on, the change of the 2 grades. So I feel like it was appropriate. I think what he presented was accurate.
Again, thank you. I just think that we didn't have all the information that you just provided, and there was a little bit of uncomfortableness. Mr. Sagar, I think you yourself were the one that basically took the lead on this conversation. We didn't have enough, so we didn't want to move it forward.
Right.
Any questions from any member of the committee?
If I may add one other
Please.
thing. Sure. Mm-hmm. So we not only we always talk about, we only grade positions, we don't grade people. So we're looking at if, employee X leaves, the new employee comes in and fills into the same role. So we never grade the person, we grade the position and what the requirements are. We also make sure that we fit this within the structure of the county, because groupings in the grading system, the positions have to make sense. You wouldn't put, an animal control officer, in where like a department head would be. So it has to fit within the structure of the county as well in the positions that we have. So we're very close and watch very closely on position management, and it has to make sense. It also has to make sense within their department that the structure is making good sense in the organization within their department. So there's a lot that goes into play when we do look at these, but there's, if it's getting too out of line with what the county looks like, then we're going to relook at that position again too. So there's a lot that goes into regrading.
But it also makes sense. I appreciate the historical that the union dissolved and then they just went into, and there was no real analysis of what happened at that time.
Right.
So it certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Mr. Kunkel.
So are all of these people the same that were here when the union dissolved? Are these new hires?
These are new hires. I think when the union dissolved, I think they were down to 1 union member, 1 active member, and the new people were coming on, but they were in their their ETP period, so they hadn't really moved into. They're always the union, but they were still in their their.
But then these are like a 3-step raise. Is that what these are?
These are, I think we went from a 6 to a 9. Olivia's was a 2-step change. And then the secretary, I believe the secretary was no grade change, it stayed at a 5.
Mr. Sagar.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I first want to say thank you very much. I appreciate the review. This gives me, I think, the comfort to know and be satisfied that you indeed have reviewed all these and you are recommending these particular changes. I agree that we need to review the positions on a routine basis, and I think every 4 years is a great idea, but there's no question about the fact that these need to be reviewed, and so I'm grateful for that. My only question is effectiveness. Will these grade changes then be effective with the onset of the new fiscal year?
Yes, they would be a 12-1. And these positions, anyone that comes through the grading position in budgets are not eligible for the merit increase. So they don't get
Right.
both. So just so you know, I mean, it's one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Then is there general concurrence to send this forward to the full board? Everyone's nodding. Brian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then we'll duly note and send it forward. And now we are up to budget reviews. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. 911. You're hiding back there. I didn't see you.
Yeah.
Floor is yours.
Good morning. As
Remind everyone.
I was going to say, as most of you
Introduce
know.
yourselves.
Yes, I'm Tiki Schulte. I'm the 911 director for the McHenry County Emergency Telephone System Board.
I'm Randy Sinatine, the assistant director.
So, and we are here with our budget presentation this morning. As you know, the 911 surcharge is funded by a surcharge on the 911, or excuse me, on your phone lines, both mobile, voice over IP, and those few that still have the remaining landline phones. Those are going away though eventually. So we are only funded by the 911 surcharge. We're not funded by county dollars. And I had mentioned previously that our 911 surcharge is due to sunset on December 31st of 25. And as of right now, we don't have any action on that. There were two bills that were introduced at the very end of the spring session, House Bill 4066 and Senate Bill 2670. And I have been in contact with Alicia about that, so she's not withholding information from you. But so thank you for not mentioning it, because that was part of my thing today. So we actually, Randy and I, oh no, Randy, you didn't put out Springfield. There were 4 of us from McHenry County that went down to Springfield. I think I mentioned that at a previous meeting, and met with our legislators. We also had Representative Sosnowski do a site tour of CCOM, the Southeast Emergency Communications Center in Crystal Lake. And we are looking to be hosting we meet with the legislators, do a legislative day with our 911 centers. We don't have that date yet, but our hope is to have all representatives within and senators within our footprint of McHenry County, all the districts that touch McHenry County, be a part of this opportunity. We haven't heard yet if there has been a decision about going back earlier than the mid-October veto session. So obviously time is of the essence with that. So moving forward, being that year to year, we're not sure when a sunset is coming. We're sure when a sunset's coming up, but whether or not our funding is going to be extended. We've always budgeted very conservatively, not knowing where and when things may change. Also being very cognizant of the fact that in the event that we were to lose our funding, that responsibility then falls back on the county and then also municipalities. So we utilize a 10-year investment plan to project revenue and expenses. That's reviewed annually by the Emergency Telephone System Board, also approved, prior to the approval of our budget. With going back really quick to the surcharge, right now we're at $1.50. per connection, and the legislation that's been introduced is requesting $2.50, so a $1 a month increase. So for one phone connection, it ends up being $30 a year.
And that also aligns with what Chicago is already doing.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna guess, were those two bills were companion bills, right? They were the exact same bill,
I believe
but in
so,
each of the
yes.
individual chambers?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess that it was an issue that because there was a monetary component to it, they didn't want to address it necessarily right away. I would assume that somebody is going to do something during veto session and not allow the sunset to occur.
We hope so.
Well, 911 services are pretty crucial to everybody in the
Yes.
state, so I don't foresee that happening. Can I ask you a little bit too, can you touch on some of the technical advances that have occurred, again, like 911, where now we can actually geographically locate people, those kinds of things that we've done, and what maybe is anticipated moving forward with those additional funds?
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of goes into the 26 goals that I'd like to mention. So one of the goals, the biggest goal that we have that's the most impactful for the citizens of McHenry County is the installation and implementation of a new next-gen 911 system. And the proposed new system will have transcription and translation, and also allow for images and videos to be sent to the public safety telecommunicators. So currently, we don't have that. So that's kind of new technology that we're looking at for 26 with the new next-gen 911 system. So. Yeah, so it utilizes AI to do the transcription and also the translation. So currently, we're dependent upon a third-party translation company to do that translation, and it's very cumbersome. So now the new system, the proposed new system will have the transcription and translation within it. So.
And Carrie, without putting you on the spot, this fund, if I say it's kind of siloed or
We're an enterprise fund.
an enterprise fund, thank you, that's what I was looking for. So thank you. So this is one of the two enterprise funds that the county has, the other one being Valley High. So not a whole lot, they bring money in, they expend money. We don't have a whole lot of information outside of that or responsibility outside of that. Mr. Kunkel.
Is your next-gen upgrade kind of hinging on that dollar per line? Or can you make the upgrade without that?
We can do the upgrade without it. We have the funds to be able to do that. It is part of our fiscal 26 budget. But as things progress in the future, we're wanting to make sure we're in a really good spot.
That's great,
technology-wise. Randy had a few other things.
Yeah, so there are, for 25, there are two key highlights that I just want to mention real quick. One of the highlights is that we rehosted our hardware and software for 30 application servers, which improved performance overall because they're faster systems. The other thing is we increased our internet bandwidth to 1 gig, which allows us to complete critical security updates that we weren't able to do over the cellular network before. So those are just two key highlights that I wanted to mention.
And with that one, with the 27 police departments now, with Lakemore coming back to McHenry County and the 15 fire departments, with all of their laptops that they utilize in their responding units, a lot of agencies have to bring those back inside. So it involved a tech to go in, take out the laptop, that squad would be down. And then now they're able to do that over this network.
Any questions?
I've got two. Your budgeted 2026 personnel expenses have an increase of about 7.3%, which is $56,000 versus
Carrie, what did you change on me?
So if you recall, for enterprise and special funds, their personnel line includes fringe. So there's the regular 4% merit on their salary. And then we saw a pretty sizable increase to health insurance between 8 and 10%, depending on the plan.
And then, so that's an increase. Question on the decreased contractual, is that just what changed there?
That's
That's what Randy was talking about.
the 5,000.
Oh, was that the
I think.
contractual went from 5.8 in 25 to 4.1 budgeted in 26?
Was that bringing it in so that you're not using the translating?
No, so the 4,000, so what we did, sorry, I wanted to make sure which line item we were in. Because we are not secure in our funding, we reduced the amount of PSAP reimbursement grants that were being eligible, I guess. Previously, we were granting the PSAPs $1 million per year, and now we've reduced that to 500,000 for this coming year, so that's a reduction of 1.5 million. And so there've been a couple different changes, just trying to be cognizant and
Responsible.
frugal, yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all that I had.
Dumb question. How did the requirement that the state passed with regard to always having a fire truck go to an emergency call with one of the ambulances with the paramedics, did that affect any of our equipment issues or anything like that?
No, because each of those units would have already had a laptop or mobile device in it, so that licensing was already accounted for. So that's just an increase in their response. The only thing that would have changed on our end would be modifying the response plan, so when there was a call for service, the telecommunicator would know what units needed to go to what type of call.
Great. Mr. Sagar, do you have any questions?
No, except just to commend. I truly appreciate the way, Kiki, that you all are staying right on top of all these advances and are applying those regardless of the fact that we have a bit of uncertainty with regards to federal funds and that kind of stuff, state funds. But at the same time, I think it's great, and I appreciate everything you all do. You are a sense of insurance for all of us, and we are tremendously grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Again, consensus to send this forward, obviously, to the full board. Consensus is granted. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, we have the circuit clerk.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Ken Keith,
Morning.
Circuit Clerk. Laura Hart, my office accountant. So we'll give you a little, we also, not an enterprise fund, but we have our 5 funds that are funded by court fees. And then also most of our personnel is out of general fund. But I thought I'd give you some highlights of what we're doing with some of those fee funds. As far as the general fund, our biggest highlight is our supplemental request this year was a negative because we're giving back 2, ultimately only 1 position. So we're reducing our staff by 2 clerical positions. But then one of those FTEs was eaten up by, we added another programmer, which is being paid out of our court automation fund. So ultimately the general fund is seeing a decrease of 2 headcount, because the computer programmer we added in, I think, January or February, that was put into our court automation fund. So that overall, the general fund will see a decrease of 2 FTEs. And the programmer position coming out of our court automation fund is really allowing us, because we have so many more moving parts with some of the different automation efforts that we have going. That additional programmer is helping out, a ton. So we've come down in our FTEs since 2008. We started out with about 75 employees, 74.65 was our FTE count. And right now we're at 52.30, I guess. So we have seen very significant decrease in our head count. and ultimately all from automation when it comes down to it. So roughly, with benefits, we're saving about 1.3 million annually in the personnel that would have cost if we still had, that 20-some people on the books. The biggest automation effort we have going right now is our AI project that we've been working on for about 12 months. Is a project with Tyler Technologies, and it's working on our e-filing. So our civil e-filing that's done through the state's e-file Illinois system. Civil e-filing is mandatory. We get about 300 to 400 envelopes of e-filing every day. And so those envelopes all contain one to many documents in each envelope. So typically it's about 500 to 600 documents a day that come rolling in through that e-file Illinois system. And so the AI automation is kind of training the bots to file the envelopes, to do the work that staff would normally do. And it's a kind of a slow, tedious process, training, the bots to do the work. But we've seen, at least right now, they're processing about 50 of those envelopes a day. We've only worked through a minimal amount of the document types that we're going to teach the bots to do. So, we're seeing improvements of, what they're learning to do. And it's, just that amount of automation has allowed us to not fill the positions that we didn't fill this year, allowed us to make those cuts. So it is I kind of look at it as like the little robot lawnmowers that are out there in the yard where, sometimes we see them, they get stuck in a little hole and they just sit there and spin their wheels. And we've seen a little of that with the bots, as you're trying to, the tedious work of training them to do the work. And sometimes they get stuck, spinning their wheels and, somebody's got to give them a kickstart. And so it is a slow process. Probably, the next couple, at least another year before we see the full potential for what it can truly do for us. But encouraging even to see what it's doing already, that it's knocking out, a minimum of 50 envelopes a day, and we've seen that steadily increase.
So mine is just, do you guys personally oversee all of that? And what do you, when all of it is perfect, who then oversees to ensure that all of that documentation is in fact actually being handled appropriately?
There's definitely a lot of, especially right now when we're still in the training phases, there's actually, our e-filing manager is actually watching what the bot is doing. And, that's what, when the bot gets stuck, she's the one who, kicks it out of the dirt hole and gets it rolling again. And so she is reviewing it. And that's part of the training process, seeing what it's doing and if it's doing anything wrong. They're very literal, so it is kind of a struggle. Sometimes it's like training a new employee, but they do take everything very literally. And sometimes it's like, well, gosh, why is it doing that? But then you realize, well, we never told it, this. But once they learn things, it's amazing, how accurate they are once they, get through those initial training stages. But yeah, there's a lot of watching it on the back end, and that's our e-filing manager position is doing, a lot of that, kind of keeping an eye on them.
Mr. Kunkel?
So one of your highlights said something about saving cost in the data entry side of it, and actually we've kind of looped it over into another position right now because it's a little bit labor intensive forward here now.
We added our e-filing manager position, I think 3 or 4 years ago, mainly because, she was managing all the people doing the e-filing anyway. Because the e-filing had expanded so much, we needed someone to manage that process. So that's a position.
But we're not actually seeing a net gain result or reduction of actual labor though. Cost.
I was probably, cost-wise we are because we've reduced 2 of the clerical staff, but labor-wise, we're definitely, what it's doing right now, we're looking at a lot of that right now. There's still a lot of, where somebody's reviewing it to make sure it's doing it correctly. So I would say maybe another year before we really maybe start to reap the benefits, of it more than we have already.
But it's required statutorily. We have to do this, correct?
E-filing is required statutorily. Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, e-filing is the Supreme Court requires this with an administrative order.
Mr. Sager?
Thank you, Chair. Kathy, thank you. I appreciate and Laura, appreciate the opportunity to visit today. So you have a net reduction this budget year in full-time positions. And over these last few years, you've been able to decrease that significantly from 74.65 down to 52.30. Do you see a time when you're going to have to be back and asking for some of those positions to be returned or for an increase in your position level due to other elements of the requirements that are kind of routinely coming through?
I would say the only thing that could push us to that would be if the circuit would get an additional judge, because that pretty much requires a body in an additional courtroom. But other than that, we've very gradually reduced our staff, mainly due to e-citations. You know, the work that we used to do keying all those traffic tickets in is much more automated with, with the e-citation process. The e-filing, we're completely e-record, which was a huge, the time we used to spend putting the papers into the paper files. That took a lot of time. And as we transitioned away from paper files to the electronic record, where we're 100% electronic record now, that made a huge difference in our staffing. So, unless some of that would turn back, which I don't, foresee any of that happening, it just continues to get more and more automated. About the only thing I could foresee would be if we would receive an additional judge, because that just, that requires an additional.
Kathy, what's the rule? New judges come every 35,000 people?
That might be a better question for Judge Fee or Jane Wallace.
It's over legislative action or 35,000.
Right. Population of our legislation, 35,000.
But we've only grown 5,000 since last census, so I don't think we're
Anywhere near that,
in the next few years.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to add a 20th judge. And after looking at the numbers, the circuits decided that it wasn't justified. So I think it's going to be a while before that situation presents itself again.
Thank you.
So I have.
Thank you.
Oh, Brian, are you done?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
I just had one other question, and this is just a personal thing, Kathy, so I apologize for that, but man, I think bots are great, and I think that they're going to provide for wonderful opportunities in the future, but man, right now, how do you go to sleep at night and sleep okay?
Don't answer.
With the confidence, that these bots are doing everything they're supposed to be doing, and my OCD would not allow me to sleep particularly well. So I'm
part of it. So they are only doing particular documents. So we're only training them particular documents, and they're very simple documents. Notice of filing, certificates of service, the ones that we, the big bulk documents that we get a lot of. So I guess that's part of it, is that number one, we're watching them very closely. And number two, they're doing the very simple high volume documents. So we really, which gives our staff then time to process the more complicated documents that need a set of human eyes on them. So they take.
So it is going to take. So it's going to take a while, but you're confident that everything is properly and appropriately handled and filed, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you're getting there, and you're in a position where you think you can start letting some of this go, I guess.
Yeah, we're seeing, on specific documents, and that is, that's what they're learning, is just the very simple, high volume, almost like factory work kind of documents that, so that alleviates the time that staff can work on more complicated.
Right.
And you still have people who are also supervising the AI.
Right.
Stuff.
Just like, they have to supervise staff that's learning, they're supervising the queue that bot works out of.
Ms. Van Hoff.
Oh, yes, I just had a question about the full-time equivalents again, the reduction. Will we see a reduction in this upcoming budget over last year's budget for the FTEs, for the total number of
I guess, at this time, at the level that we're at, we'd have to see what additional work we're gonna be able to see out of the bots. What kind of increases we can see that the bots will make over the next year or two. I think at this time, we're kind of steady there for a while after we had seen decreases from the electronic record and some of those new things. I think with the bots, we'll probably hold off for a little while and, see how that does for us. Maybe not next year, maybe the following year, we might see another one.
Okay, and that was my next question. Over time, you said you were going to be feeding it more complicated e-filing.
Yes, it does have, even contractually, we still have probably about 10 more document types that it still has to learn. So it is kind of a slow process to kick up how much it's going to be doing, as it learns more types of documents.
So it's hard to say at this time how many.
What the potential is for it, yeah.
Over the next 5 years, say how many full-time equivalents you would be able
I feel like there'll be a few more maybe in the next 5 years, but kind of hard to quantify that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
In building, my last question, in building on exactly what Mr. Sager and Ms. Van Hoff were talking about, do you see any in the future, and I know we don't have crystal balls, but do you see any scenario in the future that is going to put more of a strain on the general operating funds from your department as opposed to what you currently have now?
I guess like as long as the fees that we currently have in place, statutorily, as long as there aren't any significant changes to that, I wouldn't think so.
And are we at the top? Are we charging our fees at the very top of that threshold?
Yeah, since after the Criminal Traffic Assessment Act, when they went to the schedules, we pretty much are, at the top, and that's where we did see some increases in our funds after the Criminal Traffic Assessment Act. Which kind of put us up to the top of what you can charge.
See anything in the foreseeable future that would require additional assistance from?
As long as those fees, we had some concerns with the cashless bail, and our revenues have stayed higher than we expected, I guess, higher than we did expect. The bond account, which used to have multiple millions, has 500 or about 500,000 is all that's left in the bond account. That usually run, 3-4 million, I feel like back in the day. So we do continue to work the collections angle, with the criminal cases. We don't have a lot of teeth statutorily in how we collect, but we've got a collection agent. They actually do send some things to small claims court, if they find that someone's employed. So we do work that angle, the Illinois Municipal Local Debt Recovery Program. So we send them to the comptroller's office. So that if somebody gets a tax refund or they win the lottery, we can get collections that way. So we definitely are, working the collections angle, as much as we can as far as collecting on criminal. And civil, we've seen some filing increases. For whatever reason, we're seeing more civil filings, so that seems to be helping our revenue.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Any other questions, Bri? Again,
No, thank you.
Consensus to move the budget as presented forward?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, State's Attorney's Office. That's all right, take your time. We're actually, please, it's only 10 after 9. We're doing okay. See, I'm remembering, huh? Wrote it in big letters.
Yeah.
I have those just for my fine print.
I actually carry in my car a magnifying glass.
Oh, wow.
Because sometimes I can't.
Sometimes I slip the two
My
of those
IT
over
guy
my
is-
regulars.
Fix me. I don't think they're coming.
This when I was 20.
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning. Brought my IT guy.
It's always good.
So, no, Pete told me to keep it simple. But I did put a presentation together as I usually do. So.
Can I ask you to start by introducing
Oh,
yourself and your IT
course,
guy?
Of course. Lisa Ryan, Operations Manager for the State's Attorney's Office. And this is
George
George.
Enciso, Tech Director at the State's Attorney's Office.
which I'll explain a little bit about our tech division because it's grown increasingly in the last 3 years, which before that we didn't even have a tech division since 2022, right? So I am going to, since this is a budget presentation, I'll try to focus on what we do with budget because our main function in the State's Attorney's Office, which you can see, is to prosecute, recover debt, county department representation, county defense, and victim witness, which is to support victims and witnesses in trials and cases. So throughout the presentation, I've got highlights of things that we've done. I am going to highlight in our civil, I know you guys have this in the packet, so, and I'll share this with Kathy and she can share it with any of you that would like to see the full presentation. The first highlight there, I'm gonna focus on one of our civil attorneys actually put a report together on how much we've saved since we've brought, we actually brought the in-house litigation in at the start of the fiscal year 2016, 2017, and then in the last, since 2022, we've created a team that's really been extremely beneficial to the county in saving funds. So that's, this is a highlight of his 7-page report that he did for me, and I'll be happy to share that with anybody if they want to see the long report. But the bottom line is, since 2021, the Civil Division has saved McHenry County taxpayers over $2,500,000 by handling all legal representation for the county. The estimated $5 million is if that was out private, usually with governmental, you get municipal costs, and that's where he broke it down to $2,500,000. And then that doesn't include all the cases that were won and other resolutions were settled. So that was money saved as well. And again, if somebody wants to see the full report, I'll share that as well. The civil department goals are to embrace legal technology, enhance interdepartmental collaboration, and develop and retain top legal talent. Then for our criminal highlights, we just put in some highlights of some big cases that we've successfully tried this year, especially with some of the attorneys that we brought in that were some of our lead attorneys that had some excellent background and experience, and we've done really well to protect the people of McHenry County through this. The goals for the criminal division are to obviously continue to create safer and healthier community here in McHenry County by aggressively prosecuting and also effective alternatives to incarceration. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Expand our training. And one of the things I'd like to highlight that we've expanded on, and since COVID, there has been a lot more trials and tribulations with hiring, especially prosecuting attorneys. That's nationwide, not just here in Illinois. But we started, we've always had interns, but we started really aggressively pursuing as many interns as we could handle. This year we had 11, which was unbelievable. We didn't, when they told me 11, I didn't know how we were going to do that, but we did it. It turned out great. We had a great group of young people that wanted to be there, and it's a good opportunity for them to see what we do and to get them back. We had 2 of them who were 7-11s, which is a special, a judge can give a third-year law student this special license to come into court and actually try cases as long as they have a licensed attorney with them. And that was extremely helpful to us. This year we had 2, and they actually both won a case. So they were thrilled. They can hardly wait, and both of them would like to come back. We love them. So it's a great way to not only find a good fit for us, but for them to know it's a good fit for them, and to hopefully retain those people throughout. And just, you know, to talk about successive interns, our state's attorney was an intern in our office. Our first assistant state's attorney was an intern in our office. One of our deputy criminal chiefs and 3 other assistant state's attorneys. This is all currently, they were all interns that stayed. So we can see a longevity with that, and we're hoping to make that work going forward. We also support a victim witness program. It's very successful. We have 3 victim witness coordinators who, it's such an important part of what happens with somebody who is a victim or a witness during trial, to understand all their rights and just to have that support there. We have continued to receive our grant there, which, you know, grants were all up in the air this year, so we're very happy that that was secured, and we'll have that for another year. And we actually applied for another one. We don't know yet, but if we'll get it, but the application is in.
How much, Lise, can I ask?
Sure.
The 44,000, how much of that covers the cost of the program?
Well, it goes all towards payroll. So basically that covers the cost of one victim witness coordinator's salary. It's not quite the full salary, but that's what it goes towards completely. It doesn't cover any other part of the program, but most of the program is the person. It's not really, there's not a lot of things that we have to support.
Understood. Yeah, just, that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hit some. Sorry.
Oh, no, listen, I'm liking it a whole lot. That's what I would do.
Okay, there we go. Back. Okay, so I mentioned earlier in the criminal highlights about trying to keep, trying not to put everyone in jail or in prison, and trying to do what we can to help those who've made a mistake and, you know, in the lesser crimes, to get them out of the system before they're in it for a long haul. And we've had the deferred prosecution program since 2010, and this is a program that it is not mandated, but it's been so successful. And I joined the state's attorney's office at the end of 2016. I've sat on the panel for this. Since then, I sat on the panel in the beginning just to learn a little bit about it. And I felt like it was so important that I've continued to sit on this panel. But it's amazing to see what this program has done for the people who've gone through it. A lot of people just in a crisis in their life have made a bad mistake. A lot of young people just, you know, that stupid mistake you just don't think about when you're young. And but since the program's inception, the recidivism is 6%, which is just amazing. So since 2010.
There is absolutely no doubt of the value of this program. I mean,
Yes.
None whatsoever. However, the big question is, it's not mandated. So can somehow you associate a savings to the?
It does bring in some income, and it only, we have one admin that oversee, and actually we have 2 programs now. So the next slide is on that, but I'll talk about I'll answer your question first. So we have one admin, and the attorneys just review the cases, so it's not a lot of their time. And when you look at what the cost would be for these cases to go forward, and the attorneys and the admins that would have to process all the paperwork, it would be way above what we're spending on this program. The panel's all volunteers. We pay nothing. As you can see, there's been funds that have come in since 2010. It's not enough to cover the full admin fee, but, you know, if you did the breakdowns of not having that recidivism and those people going through the court process, it would be way, it would probably add on another attorney, to be honest with you, because there's so many cases that go through.
It would, I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, I don't want to put any more on your plate because but if you could even get an estimate of a figure for us to look at, that would be helpful of how much money is actually saved and how much additional cost if we didn't have the program.
We could figure out by
incur.
cases what it would
That would be very helpful, I think.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I would be, this is probably one of the programs that I'm most proud of in our office, so I'll be happy to do that for you.
Thank you.
And just to add to it, because this is also a part of it, in 2021, because we were seeing so many of the domestic cases, especially where they're in the kind of the beginning of the start of it, it's the same people over and over again. And a lot of the reasons they're not, they're happening over and over again is because the victims will not follow through. They're afraid, they don't want to be alone, whatever the case. So we started this program, and I'm very proud to say, since we started in 2021, there has been no reoffending so far of any individual that's gone through this.
That's incredible.
I mean, when you look at how many cases, so, you know, we've accepted 289 people, and basically we've had 289 people who have still not reoffended, and especially with, you know, domestic violence, that's a pattern. So very, very successful program. Panel here is all experts. They also all are volunteer, which I'm thrilled because it's very hard to get people who are certified. And you know, we have former judge, we have people from Turning Point, we have counselors, and they're all volunteering their time, which is wonderful. So it's a more extensive program for the defendant that's going through it, but it's been very successful. So, and I'm going to add the two of those because it's just one admin that's doing both of this.
Please send.
And like I said, the attorneys review the cases, but it's basically just that process. This would also add on a lot of money towards just an attorney trying these cases over and over again. So.
And the results are priceless. We get that part. I mean, really, just again, yeah.
And that's okay. I like, you can ask me anything with numbers, I'll do it. The Way Out program. So before you say, because this is not mandated also, but this is all the support we give to this program, which we started, is paid for through our forfeiture funds. And our forfeiture funds, which I have in a couple slides, I will show you. It's very specific what we can use that money on. So I'll talk about that in a couple slides. The Way Out program was started in 2017. Again, seeing a problem that just the same people over and over that were not getting the help they needed and just could not get off the drugs or alcohol or whatever they were suffering from. The Way Out program started in our office with a navigator who just helped them through to try to get them into rehab or counseling, whatever help they needed. We handed it off to New Directions in 2020, and that's Addiction Recovery Services, extremely successful in McHenry County. They send me reports every month. I meet with them a couple times a year. It's amazing what they've done. They actually have, they started another sober house in Woodstock, and when that's done, they will be able to hold 68 people, and that's for a year. We get a year. They have now, gone from 1 navigator to 5 with the Spanish speaking. It's an amazing program, and I can give you more information on that if anybody would like. But they, we pay with forfeiture funds towards a navigator monthly. We give them a monthly fee. Again, those funds specifically have to go towards prosecution or recovery. So that's where this comes in. And we did help support that housing as well.
And everyone here could go and get some coffee and stuff at the retail operation they run in Crystal
Right.
Lake, because they use all of those funds to offset some of these programs as well. So.
And we support this indirectly in another way, which is coming up also. And they send me this report every month, and then I get a quarterly one. So this is one of the last quarterly ones that I had. I'll just share it in there. We added in 2022 our legal technology support, which was becoming a necessity. We have an IT department that helps us with our technology, but between all the phone dumps and the body cams and all the just all the video evidence and everything that went into software programs for justice, we were not trained in that kind of. Our attorneys are trained somewhat in technology, but not in what we needed to really put all this together and do what we needed to do. So we did not ask for an additional FTEs for these people. We actually reorganized our administrative staff because we figured their load would be a little bit less, and we tried to make it work. We had 2 people on our reception. We brought it down to 1 and made that work, and added in our legal technology team, which not only has benefited our office, but as Alicia can attest, has really helped with the county in sharing his knowledge, and he's working, actually I think he's doing a report next week for you on AI. But I'm gonna just let him.
Administrative services.
Yeah.
The big thing that we've been trying to focus from a technological standpoint in our office are ways that we can implement technology to improve efficiency. Right now, the big buzzword that everybody's talking about is AI and the best ways to implement these AI systems. We do have a degree of concern and care that we have to take, especially because AI systems, the nature of the work that we do. So predominantly, one of the big forefronts, one of the big ventures that we're going into AI would be for evidence review, a really big way to assist our attorneys and our support staff for doing evidence review. One of the new systems that we're looking into picking up later this year has a system that has automatic transcription, automatic translation of transcriptions. Anytime you drop any kind of video, audio file that has like an audio track within it, the system will automatically detect that, transcribe it for the attorneys so that they would then be able to review. And a really good use case that we've seen in our test system would be like a body camera. Average body camera can run between 4 and 6 hours long. Of that 4 to 6 hours, maybe there's 20 to 30 minutes of actual spoken dialogue. Well, at a quick glance, presently right now, if an attorney or somebody goes to view that video, really they have a duty to go and make sure they're viewing that video in its entirety. That way we can be sure that we're getting any information that might be there. With the new systems, at a quick glance, you can see the audio form, the audio wave track on videos, and you can see, oh, well, the first 3 hours of that video are silent. There's a little bit of information right there, so you can skip right to it. Additionally, with the transcription service, it allows us to view transcription in a way that we could click on the transcription and it would take us to that active part in the audio tracker. So reviewing and verifying the information, because that's the other big thing that I want to stress, is that as we move into these AI systems, the reason why we're being so careful is because we don't want to leave things just to automation. We don't want to leave things just to artificial intelligence. We want to make sure that at the very end of the line, there's a human putting eyes on it, verifying the information that we are going forward with something that's been confirmed. So all of this is to the effect of saving us time. Very, very broadly, and I can speak a little bit more in the presentation we're doing for AI next week, but on average, I spoke with our attorney supervisors. Our ASAs, anyone in our office, will spend between 12 and 15 hours a week reviewing evidence. If the 12 to 15 hours could be truncated just by being able to see, okay, well, these 30 videos that I need to view for this one case, and that one case of 20 cases that need to be reviewed for the week. it drastically cuts down the amount of time that our staff would have to spend reviewing that. And in effect, we're hoping that that would prevent us from needing to add additional positions in the future.
That's great, thank you.
And also, they're there for us when these systems have any kind of little glitch or breakdown. It's just crucial that we can call them right away and, hey, like when I clicked on the wrong thing here. Sometimes you just, you need somebody who understands the back end, you know, to make sure everything's smooth. And we're using all this and then presenting it in court, and that's another place where they've been crucial, is for the presentation in court of all the evidence. So, and the state's attorney, we are the bottom, the end of the line for evidence. We, of all the trail of evidence, it's the state's attorney's burden to hold evidence and retain it according to the Records Act to when it can be released or archived and then finally released. Some evidence can never be released. So, you know, it's become massive amount of data. I just left a org chart in with just the where people sit per their job title. So this next slide, I'm just going to go over a little bit of where we have tried to save funds and throughout the years and annually. The opioid settlement, which we joined in 2022 on behalf of McHenry County. This was something, again, it was not mandated that we join this, but it was very important, we felt, because the opioid crisis was everywhere, including McHenry County. We joined this fight, and it brought, so far, it's brought in about $2 million in settlement funds, with the potential of, in the mid-2030s, to hit $7 million. And all that money goes to the mental, it goes towards mental health. It has to go towards mental health. And if you notice, I put a little, this is from the McHenry County Mental Health Board 2024 annual report, but you'll see new directions, addiction recovery services there. It gave them a nice chunk of money to help them. And they actually when I met with them just a month ago, they were saying that they really appreciate, that's done amazing things for them this year, just the money that they've received, and that was just this year. So.
And that helped when we didn't get the full 12 million that we thought we were going to get. That CUSH really assisted them a great deal. My understanding too is, do you guys get any notification when that next check is going to hit? And talking to the mental health board, that was one of the comments that they made, is that they couldn't plan for things because they never knew when that next chunk of money was going to come in.
So we have several different settlements, and some of them, there's a schedule. Although we usually get the money when they say it's going to come, but it doesn't always match the amount. And then sometimes we just get random checks from other settlements. So
I like that.
It has been a little hard.
But it's hard, all I'm pointing out to you, it's hard for them to budget and allocate because nobody ever knows when that next payment's. I just want you guys to be aware of that.
And a lot of the settlements too are different time periods. Like some of them are out to 2037. Some of them are just a few years, so that makes it challenging too.
And then we don't, you know, other than me hounding Carrie, we don't get any information because none of the money came back to our department. Right. But I'd like to keep an eye on what we're getting in. It makes me feel good. So, but yeah, I know we just have no idea how or when each amount comes in, and there's possibilities that more companies can be added on still. So there's a potential for that to even grow further. But it just it's money that we
appreciated your decision to participate in that, really. Because as you stated, you didn't have to. So.
No, that was just joining the group, the fight. So we have our forfeiture funds, and we really, truly try to use these funds as much as possible. There are a lot of restrictions. Every single time I use one of these funds, I have to have an opinion that, so we are very careful, but we use them as much as possible to supplement our budget. And drug asset forfeitures funds specifically have to go towards drug cases or drug rehabilitation. And as you can see, this last year, this is just 2025, as of, we average giving the Way Out program $20,000 annually out of that. And we did almost $20,000 in expert witness fees. That line item in our budget, I have been able to dwindle down lower and lower. And I can't even imagine how we would have, what we would have had to add to that had we not had these forfeiture funds. The toxicology reports, the expert witnesses, it's just such a large amount of money. And in one case, I mean, $19,000 is probably 2 or 3 cases at the most.
And was there a change, do I remember, was there a change in how we could, how much money we could collect in forfeiture?
Not, ours is still, we get 12.5%. I don't know if there was a change in how it's collected before we get our share.
Didn't they reduce where you could recoup forfeiture dollars? Oh, I'm showing my age. I apologize to all of you.
There was some federal legislation that Sheriff Tatelman was concerned about, and I'll look into it further.
Would you? Yeah, because I maybe that's where I remember it from. Okay, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. So that's the drug asset forfeiture. And then money laundering comes in few and far in between, but when it does, it's usually a nice big chunk. So we have a little bit more leeway with that, only than that it doesn't have to be a drug case. So we've used a lot of this to build our technology department, because having George and adding on his team has been wonderful, but if they didn't have equipment, we would not be able to do this. And they have these big towers that these phone, and he can attest to this, some of the phone dumps are, give me an idea.
Yeah, I mean, just last week we dealt with a phone dump that was 750 gigabytes, just alone one phone extraction.
Our
and then
computers can't handle it.
sometimes we can have a case that has 2 to 4 of multiples of just the one case. So
that's part of that money went to buying equipment so that we could handle these dumps and get the information. And otherwise, you know, you'd have like 2 or 3 people that couldn't do anything else for the whole day.
Right.
While they're loading these. So it's been crucial to use that money for that. Expert witness fees, again, we used here. Most of our really high expert witness fees are when it comes to drug and toxicology reports and those expert witnesses. And then the core forensic training, again, was to train a police officer in, you know, being able to manage the phone dumps and get the technology back to us. Budget reductions that we do annually. We save over $1,500 annually by conducting in-house CLEs for attorneys. We save approximately $64,000 every year with our forfeiture funds, combination of the forfeiture funds. We save over $20,000 annually by bringing in our grand jury court reporter in-house, which has been since 2017. And then approximately $1 million a year by transitioning the labor law negotiations. And I just want to reiterate again, because I did have a question a couple of years ago that, you know, because I said that we do this at no cost to the taxpayers, but it really wasn't, because we've never added any attorneys to the civil division. We've had, when I came in, we had 10, we brought it down to 9, we're now at 7.
Wow.
So we're doing this with less attorneys than more. And then this year, we were awarded $192,000 that will go towards payroll. We lost a grant that we've had for years and years because it was no longer available, and that was $98,000 plus a year towards payroll. We applied for another one, we actually got $148,000. So, so that was a big win this year. And then we have the victim witness grant, so.
And you analyze every year the savings for the grand jury recorder being in-house? So that's a new number, basically?
Yes.
Okay, Thanks.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I have not added any kind of cost of I know that, I check their fees, but, you know, there's you know, if we ever asked for anything in a rush, there's added fees. I try to estimate that number on a very conservative estimate, or average, average. But we save with, not only with the money, but the person who has been doing this since 2017 has never missed a day, ever, which is amazing to me. And very consistent and very dependable. So we're very lucky we have her. And then lastly, I really try every time we spend money, I do try to remember that I'm a taxpayer also, and, you know, is it money that we need to spend? And when I came in to the state's attorney's office at the FY16, the budget the commodities and contractual service budget that was allotted us was $238,000. And to this date, we are still under that. So we've really tried to cut, and where you see the asterisks, it's money that had to be added for things that were out of our control, like the appellate prosecutor fees that we pay every year for the outside appeals, or for appeals. And then a mandatory training for investigators now that's mandatory annually for all our investigators. Last year, the Illinois State Attorney Association, there was a fee that we have to pay for their services. So those were things that we went up on, that we had no choice. But we're trying to, where we can, we've made changes with FTEs only when things happened where we had no control. Again, also like the Safety Act, and after AJ, when DCFS started sending us more cases. So those were the only times we added FTEs. We've never otherwise added a supplemental for any type of, we've been buying our furniture at the end of, starting in 2022, we've been buying new furniture with the little bit we have left each year when we come to the end of the budget year, so that, you know, we're trying to keep everything so that I can keep these costs down. And that's about it.
Excellent. Any questions for?
We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just so proud of what you're doing. Thank you.
I'm really proud of what they do. I mean, I know this is a budget, but, you know, we continue to be one of the safest counties in Illinois, and that I never really realized before I started working for the state's attorney's office how important their job is. And so, you know, kudos to them too. They do a great job.
Mr. Sagar, I can't see you. Do you have any questions?
No, just a couple of comments. Well, yes, I do have one question. But first off, I agree with Gloria. I just have a great deal of appreciation for the proactive programs that have been established within the department. And also, I truly appreciate the fact that we are so aware of the asset forfeiture funds that are out there and how we use those funds to control costs and truly to support programming. So I just want to commend you all so much for that. Lisa, you've done a great job of introducing all of these to us. The question I have is, could you talk to me just a little bit about translation services and what all is involved with translation? What might be some costs associated with translation?
Are we talking AI-powered translation or like the?
Yep. Language translation with regards to the work State's Attorney's Office does. I mean, we're becoming a more diverse county, and so how do we handle that?
Yeah, are you talking in person in court?
Yes.
Briar? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I thought you were talking about translation in the system. We do pay for that, and we can pay for most of those under our forfeiture funds. And when we do have any kind of translation, it's considered interpretation, and that's covered under those fees. So most of those, if they go over $500, I just automatically put it in forfeiture funds. We don't get a lot of those, and I believe they do have some interpreters in court as well. But for our side, you know, we experience it mostly when there's been translation from like a transcript or maybe a video where it needs to be translated onto paper, and then we have to also then translate it into English from whatever language. But we don't see a lot of expense with that. It's not overwhelming like some of the other ones.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so I want to be extraordinarily clear. This is a budget. I'm going to ask for your concurrence to send it forward as it was presented, but you heard which programs are not mandated. And we've had conversations, the full committee of the whole. We've had conversations at all the committee meetings. This is where we have conversations about reductions, right? And where and what recommendations you're going to send forward to the full board to consider, because you've had individuals say we need to reduce by 3 million, 5 million. This is where we send that kind of information forward to the full board for consideration. So I want to be really clear as we make, you know, a recommendation as is. Are you sending any other message to the board about considering eliminating any of these programs or talking about it? Because this is where you have those conversations.
So looking at the non-mandated programs.
Which would be the deferred prosecution. But it's the only thing I believe that I talked about. The way out is forfeiture funds, so that's not budget funds. And again, we don't use any there are no other funds other than staff for the deferred prosecution. There is income that comes in with that.
I'm referencing specifically the one program. I'm not, forfeiture funds have to go be used for those purposes.
Right.
But this is what I'm saying, you know, there's one program here that technically we do not have to do that we do because we find a value to it. My recommendation would be is to move it forward, which is why I asked for some figures. But this is, you know, where you send the message to both staff as well as to the full board. Do we look at this or do we not look at this? Is this a consideration or not?
So I would just like to follow up with what we talked about earlier.
Please.
That's why those figures that you will bring us is so important, because we don't want to just be thinking short term. We're going to be looking forward at, if, you know, this recidivism goes down, this is how much we'll be saving in the future. So it has the ability to impact future budgets if we are being proactive now. So this is really an important piece, I think, for all of us to see how much money we save when we do something like this. So not just a matter of it being mandated, but what it will mean to the bottom line, not just this year, but, you know, for the next decade. So I think those kind of decisions are very important. I support moving this forward.
You know me, I'm not taking a position one way or another. I'm just saying that this is the process of not having everyone at the final budget meeting or the month before the final budget approval saying, I don't know, we have all this conversation, we should do it. This is where that work is done. So, Bri, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm strongly supportive of the budget and moving it forward as is. I agree 100% 1,000%, if you will, with Gloria with regards to the programs that have been instituted, domestic abuse program, the reality of the figures that are coming back with regards to recidivism, et cetera, are just exceptional. And so I think that this is a win-win all the way across the board, and I'm supportive of moving this budget forward and commend staff. I think there's a need to really say thank you. Job well done.
I agree with moving forward. Also, the cost justification, I expect that dollars are going to meter out, but we'd have that to append to.
It'll have to be estimated, obviously, because we can't.
Well, obviously, as close as you can
But
get, we
I
understand that.
You know, and we should be able to get you something, and then I'll send it along to Kathy that she can share with you. But yeah, because, you know, I know we can break down what the program brought in, and then we'll just look at those cases had they gone to court and the hours, you know, we can just track hours of work on that typical type case and then put a number together, so.
Appreciate that muchly. All right, so then I have a consensus to send the budget forward as presented with the stipulation that additional cost savings figures will come from the state's attorney's office. Nice job. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Merit Commission. Merit Commission.
It's kind of a shared fund. Usually I forget about it.
No, because Brian's here. And remember, I asked this question before.
We can start.
Once we have a quorum physically to allow someone electronically, a person can leave and we still have a quorum.
Thank you.
And I have a state's attorney's opinion on that, by the way. Because I was sure I was right. Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Commission, so this is a first for me because this budget does sit within my parameter. Holly Eddy heads up the Merit Commission and sets meetings and things like that. But it is in line with the sheriff requirements. Gary and I probably haven't spent a lot of time reviewing, but generally it's budget neutral. It usually stays the same based on the idea of if the sheriffs would ever do any more testing. I think that's the biggest cost, is the testing of new deputies or potential deputies. So I think, you know, in reviewing it internally, we don't anticipate a change of what we currently are budgeting for that. So,
Anybody have any questions?
This one is hard to predict because really it's how much testing, and I think they used to do.
Well, you have to have a Merit Commission to
Yes.
conduct the testing for any new
Yes.
employees.
You
And
have to have a list available
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
time.
So we try to be
That list
conservative.
gets stale.
Right. And then bring it back to you as needed if we need to add.
yeah, they do also do testing for lieutenants and sergeants, and that is a little more extensive, so that costs more money. They've just completed that list, and again, they have to maintain that list, you know, to actively replace those that are retiring.
well, Brian and I as mayors understand that. Correct, Brian?
Yeah.
You were.
Absolutely.
I was on the
Gloria
Merit
was on the
Foundation
Merit
for 21 years, so.
Oh, Michael, you have
Yes. Yeah, I happen to know that the power testing, that's the most expensive part of what we do. But you're right, we get the list of approved, you know, eligible candidates, and once that list gets to where it's getting down a little bit, the sheriff would come and say, okay, we need to move forward with some more testing and some more candidates on it, so, yeah. I don't expect any big surprises there.
They've moved to doing more of the proctoring in-house. So that is a cost savings as well. So, you know, they're just the overtime salaries when we bring in our own deputies to help run the testing for the day. So, and then the commission gets a per diem, as you would know, a small per diem for coming to the meetings. So, I don't anticipate any changes based on what we know at this time.
Good.
I hate to use the term, but this is rather perfunctory, frankly. It's something we have to do. There's set costs associated with that. Those might increase as we move forward a bit in terms of the cost of the testing, et cetera. But this budget, I think, is non-questionable. I mean, we just have to move forward with it.
With the understanding that there might be potentially a supplement that comes forward that may, but that's just, we don't know.
We haven't had to add
Right.
this budget in several years, but
Right.
just,
And the
again,
pre-employment physicals are also part of that for the deputies. So,
Education.
yes.
Just a reminder.
yep.
So then I have concurrence to move the budget as presented forward to the full county board. Okay.
Yes.
Concurrence. Thank you very much. Reports, anything? No reports? No need for executive session? Motion to adjourn. Yes, Ms. Van Hoff, seconded by Mr. Short. All those in